Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. Again, I continue to emphasize I'm being profoundly and extensively tortured. I'm going to be brutalized to death for doing scientific research in the United States of America. I've been urgently seeking asylum since I've been a child. I mean, I've never been in an environment where my rights have been respected. The violation of my rights are so profound. And literally at this point, if you go watch part 260 of this series, it is the complete derivation and classification of ordinality, which is all of the number fields. So the biggest mathematical result that's ever been produced, I've been prolifically and extensively tortured since I've been forming memories. I continue to emphasize and ask for anybody to treat me like a human being. Allow me to go to somewhere that isn't the United States of America, where there is no values, there are no family, there's no friends, there's just a bunch of people clamoring over each other for another paycheck. And I am not allowed to make money. And so a good thing, because I get gaslit every single day of my life, but we're at the point we're in proper mathematics. There is just nothing you can do besides scream out no to Brad, because everybody hates Brad. People can't hear facts that come from Brad. And that's just, my life has always been that way. No one has ever respected me, treated me with dignity, but it's because of what has been identified as ontological shock. And so we're going to open up today we get some more ontological shock, because when you contribute to the world, guess what all the people who don't, guess what they do? They take their miserable little existence, they project that onto you, and then they tell you you're a disgusting fucking person for existing because they hate themselves, and they project that hatred out into the world. And so obviously when you're the scapegoat, when you are the brunt of everybody's abuse, of everybody's insecurity, and a community destroys your reputation, people do it instinctually. And for whatever reason, if you do mathematics, you can go do something that's pisses off millions of people politically, religiously, but if you do something in mathematics, I have never seen a more profound vitriolic response. But at this point, like I said, it's literally we're just in something where all you can do is just say no, when the answer is clearly yes. And you might say, Brad, why do you care? Because it has destroyed my entire life. I have been brutalized since I have been a child, and it has never stopped. Not 1 minute of one day does this stuff ever get better, and it's never going to get better. But regardless, we have opened up with, so I post a video, right? And I said, the whole video, the whole short, you can watch it. It's what's the difference between third and a third? Again, we went through the whole derivation. Obviously, no one watches the things, but somebody comments 9x. Does 9 times 1 over 3 equal third, or does it equal 3? And so again, I don't know if these are genuine comments or if they're just, but again, it's not genuine. People want to assert authority over me. And so I originally even responded to this one and said, you're not wrong, but it is wrong. But then I immediately go into teaching mode, like, oh, this person might actually be interested. And of course not. They're just telling me I'm wrong and I'm not fucking wrong, right? 9 divided by 3 equals 3, not third. But it's just, again, so this is John Blake Moore, 6454 on Google. And that person is never allowed into academics, never allowed to receive a piece of paper from school saying they're competent in scientific discourse. They're not. Then another person, Frank Bandera, 6591, had the wonderful insight. He said, a third of something, because again, none of them people click the video where it explains it and demonstrates the proof. I am not asking questions. Anything that I pose is a rhetorical question. It is to get your insight in the right position. A third of something can be evenly distributed, while 1/3 of something cannot be evenly distributed. And so he just spells out the word a third and then uses 1 over 3 RD at the end. And this stuff makes me so livid because it's just straight up projection. Like, what difference did you make by saying a third versus putting 1 over 3? And obviously the answer is nothing. But there's nothing to say no to logically, mathematically, physically at all. They're just saying no to me, Brad, this guy sitting in front of your camera, what you're probably doing. Why is this guy a little angry that his entire life's destroyed? He was almost killed. He got disowned by his family. He never made a friend. He's never had a girlfriend, all because of this behavior. Why would he get mad at that? So I'm sure somebody else is going to drop a nice little shitty comment. I am going to be the pelting board, the punching bag for every insecure fucking person that has ever walked on this planet or ever will walk on this planet. I've lost my whole life to this behavior. And we are at the point where it is just straight up wrong. Numbers are wrong. You can put them into equation and third doesn't equal 3. But regardless, does anybody want to learn? Does anybody want to listen? There's nothing to say no to besides me personally, which has been happening my whole life. That's why I've been brutalized. And that's why I'll never have a career, I'll never have a family. I will never get out of this godforsaken city in which I can walk you right now today and show you 25 different people that tortured me as a child. No consequences, no social pushback, nothing. Anyway, continuing on with our derivation. 1 is half of 2. Because again, we're at this fundamental thing where the difference between logic and mathematics is extremely, not even nuanced, but it's just like people say, you know, a third in the words and then put 1 over 3, right? And then I literally went up to my mom and it's like, okay, mom, what's the difference between third and a third? And she goes, 1's a fraction, 1's a placement. Like exactly getting it the correct. So again, these people are just blurting out, they don't like me. And then you might say, Brad, why do you care? Again, because it's destroyed my entire existence. 1 is half of 2. All right, so that kind of gets you that phase change progression of there is no unique word for 1 as a denominator. Right? When you say 1/5, 1/6, you spell out a cardinal number and then something that ends in th. So a converse question, because again, we're deriving all of these things. So let me ask you a question. Why is there a th at the end of ordinal numbers? I'll wait. And so you literally can't open your mouth without saying something that I've already proven. We're just coming at it from the other angle, but it's complete. There's nothing else to say. I'm literally just going to be tortured until I'm dead for doing science, man. I mean, you read about scientific denial and then you live it. It is the most disgusting, profound experience that has ever existed. Every bit of legal punishment that can possibly be enforced, do it. No forgiveness, no leniency, no nothing. The academic structure needs torn down and just start over. My God. What is half to second? All right. Sensorality is secondality. Infinitesimality, infinitesimal. And so again, you're going to say, I've never heard of infinitesimality, and then you generalize it and it's infinitesimality. So like in syllability, ability, all of those words that in I, L, I, T, I, Y, or there's a lot of I's in them, that comes from the expanded form of infinitesimality. It's where all of those I's come from, totally. But you've definitely seen the word infinitesimal. And so we're back into calculus again, where you have this establishment of what's called an antiderivative. Right? You have things that exist out into the world and you derive from the empirical world out around you. Right? Logically, you could use a word there as synthesize. You take a bunch of independent pieces and you're putting them together. You're integrating. You're deriving down from a world around you, and you're putting little pieces together. That's integration. Chronologically, derivation comes first. Right? That's why you integrate the derivative to get the function of calculus, the fundamental theorem of calculus. But people will say something like, you take the antiderivative of the triple integral. That's just straight beyond wrong. And so, but again, what is an infinitesimal? You put a little integrand sign and then you put a little dx, right? That is your mathematical notational representation of the irreducibility of physical systems. Anything you've interacted with, there's a certain level where it cannot be reduced anymore. And then within that, you have a numeric limit of 2. There's 2 components to that system. And so that dx on your integral is, say, you're adding up all of the little pieces in respect to the dimension of x into one direction. And so we've classified what infinitesimals are. It's infinitesimality. Well, it's infinitesimality, but logically, again, that differentiation you're never going to see. But point being is, you can see infinitesimality, but the only difference is that I have 2 s's in there. And so, but that's the correct spelling, right? Because infinitesimal, you can hear the breaking by the rhythm. And so, right, infinitesimality, the complete form correctly is spelled with 2 s's. If you chop off one s, it makes no difference. But sensorality is simality. So again, now we're back at this. We're forcing these words out into their complete general form. Ality at the end of the word generalizes anything. That's very apparent amongst everybody. And then you take the y and then you add ies, right? Infinitesimalities. It's like the smallest. Infinitesimality is the concept of infinitesimality. And so again, anything with an ality is again to quality, to essence, to conceptualization. But we have that word, right? And then you have a little symbol and you say dx. And so now we've shown the limitations of what the smallest anything can be. And so the full expanded word has two S's. If you contract it to one, it doesn't really matter, but it produces that simality. All right, sensorality is simality. Ordinality is the range of cardinality. And so now again, we can forget numbers. Is there more stuff to describe ordinality as opposed to cardinality? 1, 2, 3, 4. First, second, again, one-th, second-th, third-th, fourth. Again, there's a unique classification, we went through that. But point being is there's literally an extra consonants. There's more sound to an ordinal number as opposed to a cardinal number. And again, with your representation, with letters or with numbers or variables, you put right, th at the end. There's more to an ordinal number as opposed to a cardinal number. So nth is greater than n for all n's. What is the range of sensorality? Again, now logically and linguistically, we have to progress these concepts. Again, sensorality, S, N, another S, or Y. And we're showing that connection of syllability to what it differentiated out into. And so we have to connect sensorality to its other like base root to show this connecting, show this completion, and demonstrate the incompleteness of open systems. And so geometrically, the S, the number 3, and the letter or the number 8 are all, there's some sort of geometry going on there. Resonance is range. Again, when you turn up the volume and when you try to speak louder, people don't hear, like vibration is the bass and you're actually like the consonants. What people hear is when you break resonance. So it's like if I try to talk louder, I feel like I'm raising my voice, but like the resonance, like there's a bass background, you can feel it, and then you can like hear me breaking the consonants. And so vibration is bass, and that's B-A-S-S, and then bass is bass. And so B-A-S-S is B-A-S-E, physics to mathematics. And then geometrically, the S and the E are related. Vibration is rational. Now again, that's the fundamental theorem, right? Vibration, the VI is a prefix, the B, some sort of consonants, but ration, right? But the base of vibration is rationality. So now we've derived that from physics, the whole thing. But vibration is rational, that is a natural definition. Range is rational. Range is intricate. So this was a big jump. I had some big breakthroughs yesterday. If they're big enough, I'll send them over email. But intrication is integration, right? Range is intricate. When you sing, it's very most apparent when you can learn how to sing. When you can sing quote unquote more than somebody else, or you're more developed and you're like filling in, or you're being a background singer, you can sustain their notes longer. And that range comes from stabilizing. You're not singing louder, right? It's just much more easy to demonstrate if you're actually singing, but like when you do a fill or when you continue on and sustain a note, that is range, not being louder. And so, but intricate, right? Integration is intricate. And so that is a mega theorem. I have it written down as mega theorem. But we needed another case. Language litigation integration, that's a separate, like everything I'm putting out into the world is part of this derivation. And so that's something, and it's clearly different because language and litigation start with L, and the litigation's more so the actual crimes being committed against me. But intrication is integration, right? And integration is intricate. If you want to add something to something else, it has nuance. If you take somebody from one culture and put them into another culture, somebody from, I don't know, Iran and put them in, France, you have some cultural clashes. Integration is intricate. Sensorality is intricality. Sensorality extradites. What's a dite? Again, another one of these words, D-I-T-E, extra, dite. Okay, well, what's dite? Right, R-I-T-E, light, L-I-T-E. Right, and it's all based on it. It is what it is. So all of these things are starting to come together, or already. My rights are violated, I hate my life, and I just do this shit and try to make the best of my life because I'm being tortured. But chirality is intricality. And that preservation of pronunciation, you can hear it. Chemistry, chirality, right? And if you said, what is the theme, or what is the base, or what is the overarching thing of chemistry? Chirality. And that's typically when you get introduced to the word. is these different isotopes of a given, you have this amount of carbon, this amount of hydrogen, and it's arranged differently. This bond structure reflecting, again, this physical inversion has to do with this. There's no opposite of mass. Your helix structure, the double helix of your genome is like helix twists. Twisting is intricate. And that's kind of in my derivation from yesterday as well. But and just continuing on again, we don't have to, I provide explanation on these different steps, but all of this logic is already contained within the words and the letters. We just have to pair up the right base words. Sensorality is apologeticality, right? Apologies are logical. Like literally, again, look at the word. Apology is logical. Sensorality apologizes. Apology, analogy. Now here, again, I don't know if it's me projecting or me having more educated guests than most people, but again, sans is always in French. And the whole paragraph, whole book in English, and then people will use the word sans. But senselessness, sans. Right? Senselessness is without sense. And linguistically, sans. And again, the pronunciation is a little funny with that, but like it's just a direct iteration of E and A. Without sense in French is sans. Curvature is not linear. Temperature measures heat. So again, the physical renormalization yesterday, again, I watched the videos when I edited them, did a good job of what I was saying or trying to again, all of this intuition will be undeniable. Again, what's the completion thing? And it's already happened. Again, I've already done this whole process. I just hate, how am I still being tortured so prolifically? Why is there not one good person in this world, man? One person allow me to feel financial stability so I can live a life. I don't care about teaching anybody. I've done so much research at this point, it doesn't matter. This is the highest level of derivation you can do, and I've already done it completely, none of which has been acknowledged publicly. Well, whatever. But if you wanted to say the fundamental theorem of physics again, temperature measures heat. Right, what is the difference between temperature and heat? Right, temperature is a measure of heat. Heat is discrete. And so we continue on. Again, we're at that point finishing up in the derivation of, again, what law? Thermodynamics, right? But again, we've made so much progress at this point each and every single day. I get just constantly bombarded by this absolute bullshit. I exist and somebody in this world has to tell me that they fucking hate me simply because I exist. It has been done by every single person I've ever been exposed to. It has ruined my entire existence. And I have the most important mathematical derivation sitting on the internet, and I feel guilty saying what's really happening to me because I feel like it's going to get deleted. YouTube has terms of services, and somehow if you torture and brutalize another human being, completely fine. If you talk about it, you're going to offend a pathetic person. That pathetic person is not going to know the context of what's going on, and they're going to delete your whole life. It's people have already done this to me at every step of my existence, and I'm sitting in here with the most dense mathematical transcripts that I can't put anywhere. You people are fucking disgusting. With that being said, I'll continue on. I'll continue to be a slave. I will continue to be a scapegoat. No one will care. My life will continue to be hell. And if I ever had that idea of hope, that holy shit, there's this thing called the law, and I should be able to walk into an academic research institution and publish my shit today, and I should have been able to do that at any point in time in the past 10 years, and the answer still is no. The only thing that I can assure you is that the history books will not look kindly on any of you. It will not be whitewashed. It will not be abridged. We will not cut out any of this disgusting shit that is being done to me. You people cannot open your mouth and try to articulate logic with shit that isn't already proven on the internet. All you can do in research is steal. But, that's the level of morality you guys have. That's the level of character and integrity you guys have. So continue to lie, cheat, and steal about fundamentally everything with the complete derivation and completion of ordinality on the internet from which you derive all number fields. It's done. It's been done. It's not going to fucking change. But lie, cheat, and steal, you guys can't contribute anything to the world. And yeah, keep calling yourselves good people or something. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.